The Washington Commanders lost one of the more frustrating games to watch against the Atlanta Falcons with a 34-27 score, and we have to give some time talking about this defense and what's going on there, but then also talk about this offense as hopefully Jayden Daniels is going to be coming back next week. Let's talk about it. I'm Josh Taylor with A to Z Sports Washington, and this was a tough watch. Honestly, this is a game that even without Jayden Daniels, even without Terry McLaurin, I expected the Commanders to win this game. I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. I had this one 20-17, and it did not go that way at all, mainly because of the defense. Now, like I said, before the game even started, we heard that expectations, if everything goes right, Jayden Daniels will be coming back next week. So that tells me that he was close this week, but it just was not worth rushing that knee injury just yet. But it's not official, and we're going to wait to see what happens throughout the rest of this week. But I saw some things on offense that actually encouraged me. And when you look at the numbers, things were kind of ugly. But this Falcons defense was the best in the league coming into the game on Sunday. They allowed the fewest yards in the league. And Marcus Mariota finished with 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 1 interception, which seemed like he thought he had a free play. We saw the flag. It ended up being against Washington. But he thought he had a free play, launched it across the middle to Jalen Lane. It was intercepted by Xavier Watts. I really liked Watts coming out of college. I think he's going to be a great time playmaker. But that was the most anti-Marcus Mariota throw I've ever seen from him since he joined the Commanders. And I think he just thought he had a free play, launched it. So part of me wants to erase that interception, but I can't do that. It's still there. We still have to account for it because it was a big play in this game. But still, 156 yards against a team that averaged less than that per week. I'm happy with that, especially I saw the pressures that the Falcons were getting on him. They spent a lot of draft capital up front, really trying to revamp their pass rush, and it's turned out well so far this season. It was only 2 sacks, but the pressures were there. And you don't have Terry McLaurin. You saw what he did last week, had the first breakout game of the season with Marcus Mariota, and of course you're down your wide receiver 1 and your wide receiver 3 with Noah Brown not in this game. So other people have to step up, including when Jayden Daniels returns, if that is hopefully next week. We're knocking on wood. But Deebo Samuel, 6 catches on 6 targets. Love to see it. Made some crazy hard catches. Had one really weird fumble. Got it back luckily. But 72 yards and a 12-yard average and 1 touchdown. That beautiful fade route in the end zone. That's what I saw from Deebo Samuel in training camp. Those fade routes, just him utilizing his actual wide receiver skill sets. He got 3 carries for 9 yards. I'm not the biggest fan. I know it looked good in preseason that one time they did it against the Bengals, but I'm not the biggest fan with these end arounds and stuff like that with Deebo. Just let him run routes, catch the ball, and be really good after the catch. I think that's where Deebo's gonna be his best. Matter of fact, the first run of the game was an end around with Deebo. It didn't turn out well and set the team back. Second long, it was third long. It was a short drive. Not how you wanted to start the game. So I really wanted to see more of that Deebo Samuel in his receiver role. And I think we saw that in this game. And hopefully they continue to ride that because we don't know how long Terry's going to be out. We don't know how long Noah Brown's going to be out. So right now, Deebo Samuel is wide receiver 1, I'd say for a couple weeks. They said McLaurin's not going to go to IR, but that doesn't mean it'll be 2 or 3 weeks of Deebo Samuel being wide receiver 1. And then you have to have some depth guys step up. Luke McCaffrey, back-to-back weeks after getting his first career touchdown last week against the Raiders. Found the end zone again. I know he only had 2 catches for 21 yards, but he still had a touchdown. I love seeing it. And then the kick return game for Luke McCaffrey. He has found his groove with that. 6 returns for 199 yards, averaging 33 yards per kickoff return. Had that one 58-yarder. The kicking game, I said this last week. The new kickoff rule, it's really changing a lot of things in the NFL, and Dan Quinn loves it. And I know he started saying earlier in the year, oh yeah, it's going to be great for running backs. This is like a running back kind of return thing. I think Luke McCaffrey, and including Deebo, we saw Deebo last week kick things off with the big return. Luke McCaffrey has found his groove with these kick returns, so I'm going to put him back there as long as I can if I'm Dan Quinn. So I love seeing this breakout with Luke McCaffrey happening going into his second year, but then also the run game. This is a talking point every week. Did we run the ball enough? I don't think so. We're starting to see this new duo emerge, in my opinion. I know Jeremy McNichols had that long touchdown run last week, but Chris Rodriguez had 7, and then Bill Croskey-Merritt had his 7 this week against the Falcons. Chris Rodriguez had 59 yards with an 8.4 average. Bill finished with 47 yards and a 6.7 average. He also had 2 catches for 10 yards. But I do want to run the ball more, and that's what I was saying with Debo. I don't want those 3 carries going to Debo end arounds and stuff like that. Not saying that I don't think they could be big plays, but you're clearly running the ball efficiently with Chris Rodriguez and Bill Croskey-Merritt in these traditional sets. I'm not just saying just I formation, running it up the gut, but just these traditional runs. You're having success. Don't get away from it. So I didn't want to talk long about the offense just because there's so much to talk about with the defense, but I felt like there was a lot of good things to take away from this because the Falcons do have a good defense. I know the Panthers put up 30 points last week. Don't look at the 30. That was a fluke. Penix Jr. had the pick 6, had another interception where the Panthers had really good field position. The 30, it wasn't just, Bryce Young throwing dimes all over the field by any means. This is a really good Falcons defense. This is a really good Falcons team. It's just their passing game struggled so bad to start the season. It seemed like the sky was falling in Atlanta and people were freaking out. And we'll talk about the defense now because the defense was just absolutely atrocious. Just did the first article for A to Z Sports Washington website. Check that out. Talking about the defense, really broke down what happened today. I'll probably watch the game again tomorrow from an all-22 perspective and just look at what's going on because it's just bad. Like, I don't even know where to start. I wanted to talk more about the offense, but it's not even worth it because this defense was so bad. So let's start here. For a team that's been a really good pressure team, the early numbers on PFF show that we only had 8 pressures today. Frankie Louvu had 2. Quan Martin had 1 on a blitz. Javon Kinlaw had 1. Eddie Goldman had 1. Dorrance Armstrong had 2, adding to his season total. He's leading the NFL in pressures. I don't know if he will be by the end of this week, but 8 pressures, that's just not enough. And if you're reading the articles last week, I said that this Falcons pass blocking team is actually really good. The reason that their passing game wasn't working wasn't because of the offensive line. They have a really good offensive line. So my key point in this whole thing, when I was looking at breaking down how this passing game could get going for the Falcons, I said, look, you have to find a way to get pressure and get sacks in this game, but it's not going to be easy because this is a really good offensive line by the Falcons. The secondary has to show up, and they completely disappeared. They did the complete opposite. But 8 pressures and 1 sack is not going to help you by any means at all. But, man, I mean, this was the worst passing offense in the league, especially. This was statistically the worst deep throw team in the NFL. If you're watching the videos before this, leading up to the game, like I said in my articles, I've said this over and over and over again. This has to be a get-right game for the Washington secondary, not Michael Penix Jr. I don't care if they play it in Atlanta. I don't care if they would play this game in Antarctica. There is no reason for the secondary, and I'll say back 7. I'll add Frankie Louvu and I'll add Bobby Wagner in there too. Terrible. Michael Penix Jr. did not throw a single touchdown to a wide receiver or a tight end going into this game. He had 1 passing touchdown in those first 3 games this season, and it came to Bijan Robinson. I think it was the first game of the season. He threw a deep, it was like a catch and run by Bijan Robinson, which is what he does. He did it again today, 69-yarder. This was the worst deep passing team in the league. 4% deep passing percentage going into this game. And guess what, guys? They had 8 plays of 15-plus yards this game. 8 of them. That is insane. Drake London, 8 catches, 110 yards, 13.8 average, and a touchdown. He had a 43-yarder on Marshawn Lattimore, who got called for a holding in that play, and he still got burnt deep. Bijan Robinson, 4 catches, 106 yards. Good God. Bijan Robinson. He had 75 yards on the ground and a touchdown as well, and he added 106 yards receiving, averaged 26.5 yards per catch. Of course, that one 69-yarder where it's the same theme where Bobby Wagner is in the middle of the field and he's forced to run across It's a wheel route by Bijan. He's forced to run across traffic. He's getting caught up in these slants and like mesh routes, and he's just getting stuck in traffic. I don't care if he had a wide open lane. He's not going to be able to cover Bijan Robinson. That is a recipe for disaster. And Bijan Robinson almost took it to the house before Jamie Reeves stopped him short of the end zone. And then Kyle Pitts, 5 catches, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. That's probably the best fantasy game he's ever had of his life. Casey Washington, don't even know who that is. 1 catch, 19 yards. He had a 19-yard average. Darnell Mooney, I know him. He's pretty good, actually, but he got hurt in the game. He had a 15-yard catch as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that each had a 15-plus receiving play against Washington's defense. They didn't even know that they could do that before this game. Absolutely unreal. Marshawn Lattimore. He was targeted 6 times, allowed 3 catches for 58 yards, 19.3 yards per catch today. Not ideal. Mikey Sanders still regressing in year 2 for whatever reason. Maybe he just needs to go back outside. You need to do something with Lattimore. Move him in the slot. I don't know. Bench him. Whatever. But Mikey Sanders still, in my opinion, needs to go back outside. Because this is not cutting it. 5 targets, 4 catches, 49 yards. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 12.3 yards per catch, 3 first downs. And I know he got that 1 interception. The first turnover of the season, by the way. The first one finally came, what was it, the third quarter of week 4? And it was an underthrown Michael Penix Jr. pass. Like, I liked where he was, Mikey Samerstill, but if you're Michael Penix Jr., you can throw that over Samerstill. He's like, what, 5'10", 5'11"? About my height. I'm 5'11", almost 6. But we got 1 bad Michael Penix Jr. play and a ton of really good Michael Penix Jr. plays out of nowhere. He had career high 313 passing yards against Washington. I mean, it's just 126 passer rating, only 1 sack. Like I said, that 1 interception and the 2 passing touchdowns of the season not going to Bijan Robinson happened today. And it's just inexcusable. And then, honestly, it doesn't. Quan Martin, another guy who I thought he was poised for an all-pro type of season, and it hasn't happened. He allowed 2 catches for 41 yards, 2 first downs. Trey Amos, he allowed 2 catches for 20 yards on 3 targets to Drake London. I'm taking that. Trey has been the one shining spot so far. He did have 1 bad play against Kyle Pitts, allowed 1 catch for 26 yards and a first down, obviously, but I'm happy with what he did against Drake London, who's one of the top wide receivers in the league. And then, like I said, Bobby Wagner, 3 catches, 74 yards, that 1 69-yarder, 2 first downs, just inexcusable. Reeves, love him to death, love him on special teams, but the tackling was so bad today. So far, PFF shows that the Commanders have 12 missed tackles in this game. I mean, I can read everybody's name. Deron Payne got 3. Frankie Louvu has 2. Von Miller has 2. It was a bad one. Quan Martin had 1. Javon Kinlaw had 1. Reeves, this is the one that drives me nuts. Love him to death, but if you're going to play more defensive like snaps, the play where Bijan Robinson scored a touchdown on the ground, he's trying to strip the ball instead of just stopping him. It was like a, 2-3 yard gain at that point. He's trying to rip the ball out, and it's like this wasn't like the fourth quarter where you're like fighting for your life. There was no reason for that. And then, of course, Quan Martin doesn't tackle him either. And then Mikey Samersill's fighting with him at the goal line. You're not going to win that with Bijan Robinson. So it was just an overall bad performance by the defense. Like, I want to say, if we had Jayden, we would have won this. I don't think so. Like, 27 points was good enough to win this game. But once again, you go on the road. You did it against the Packers. Started out terribly against the Packers. And then you do it again here. You're playing from behind 10-0 in the first quarter against the Falcons. On the road. That loss to the Packers showed the entire NFL how to play Washington. On a defensive standpoint, do pre-snap against the Commanders' defense, expose their man coverage, whether it's Marshawn, Bobby Wagner, whoever. Make them run across the field, make them fight through traffic, pre-snap motion, mesh routes, and then we're going to do some spacing concepts against zone, because the one thing I'm seeing when we do go to zone, Like, okay, your man's bad. Go to zone. I see corners and linebackers just sitting. And even when a player gets close to the zone, like, someone's probably back there. Someone's got that. I'm in my zone right now. I'm where I need to be. And then you got Drake London catching a ball between Bobby Wagner and Mikey Sarenstill. And they're both just looking at each other like, oh, you can't play man because of the motion. You're getting killed. Marshawn Lattimore is a liability. Your corners are just, they can't win one-on-one right now. The confidence is shot, something. But then also, when you go to zone, it does not get any better because your linebackers, Bobby Wagner, can't cover Bijan Robinson. You can't. You're asking too much. So what needs to change? I don't know. But you're not doing anything to adjust to what you're getting cooked by. If you're Joe Witt Jr., you're not adjusting anything. Teams are going to keep doing the same thing. You play the Chargers next. You're going to see Ladd McConkey running across in motion. You're going to see Quentin Johnson attacking Marshawn Lott. You're going to see the same thing as you did this week, and something has to change. So this was an overall disappointing game. Jayden Daniels can come back, be Superman if he's at 100%, even if he's not. I mean, we saw him do it last year, like 75%. And he can help cover up the ugly. You know, it's like a construction site. You cover it up. Still looks bad right now, but like when it's done, if you win, you win. Nobody cares. But if you're losing, people are going to want to look under that tarp and be like, what's going on back there? You know, it's not good. And right now, the offense just has to be a juggernaut like last year. I hate to say it, but it seems like the same recipe as last year. Score a ton of points. Ask Jayden Daniels to be special. And hope that Terry McLaurin comes back soon. So, extremely disappointing. We're going to talk about this one throughout the week. I'll have more videos. I'll have more articles. A to Z Sports Washington. Make sure you're subscribed. All platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well. And then check out the articles, A to Z Sports.com. And then go to the Washington Commanders site. But we have a lot to talk about with this game. Offense, defense, you name it. Obviously, there'll be a lot that comes up throughout the rest of the week as well. But I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Going to be doing some more longer form videos on the channel. So enjoy that. Drop your thoughts below in the comments. I'm going to get back to y'all, read your comments, and I'll reply to them. But I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you next week.